Getting a management consulting job is never easy. It's always competitive. There are lots of people who have interest in joining, and the firm's processes are very rigorous. But it's especially difficult in times where there is an economic downturn. Now, there is one misconception about consulting firms, and that's that in an economic downturn, they don't hire. Totally false. Every single firm continues to hire, but they just slow the process way, way down. The reason that people think these firms might stop hiring is that the firms offer their services from human capital-driven organizations. And if they don't have a demand for services, you would think they would need fewer people. That's true. But in the balance of things, they never want to cut off the pipeline to grow the firm over the long term. And so every firm is balancing short-term challenges with long-term vision. In fact, even if they're doing layoffs, even if they're delaying start dates, even if they're holding back their hiring classes, even if they're not hiring second years in MBA programs, they are still hiring across the board. At Management Consulted, we've seen a lot of economic cycles from 2008 to the great financial crisis and beyond, then through COVID, and now the global economic slowdown. And we've seen how firms navigate this and therefore how you should navigate the hiring process. Let us walk through 5 key insights that we've learned in our many years of working with consulting firms and with you in the consulting hiring process. Number 1, it is nearly impossible to get into consulting without networking in an economic slowdown. Why? Because networking is the primary litmus test of whether or not somebody would be a good cultural fit with a firm before they demonstrate their skills and abilities. And if you haven't networked, nobody's been able to get a pre-read on you, and therefore they're taking a bigger risk on bringing you into the interview process. That sets up false expectations. It creates a burden on the staff that are there, and it creates a situation where everyone is unhappy. However, if you network with somebody and they love you and they pass your name on, of the limited spots that are still available, you're going to get one of them. Networking is critical in times of economic slowdown. But it's not just about networking to open a door, but it's about networking to find which doors you need to open. And networking to find doors that could be open to you in an economic slowdown are absolutely essential. How do you do this? You set up conversations with people in areas that seem like they're still okay. Tech is down right now. Healthcare, fine. Government, fine. Consumer products, down. So look for opportunities in places where you think you might find it and set up those conversations. Look for cities that are growing. Look for places where opportunity you think might be and confirm it through conversations with those people. If you do that, then not only have you opened the door, but you found the doors that are most open to you. And you're ahead of everybody who just blindly applies. Finally, sometimes in economic slowdowns, firms get overwhelmed by the number of applications. If one firm lays off 10,000 people, all of those people join the labor pool and they start to apply for the jobs at my firm. And then I have 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 applicants instead of 1,000. That overwhelm in my system will cause me to stop posting my jobs entirely. I'll go entirely to a referral-based system or a private process. And so if you don't know how to open the doors or how to find the doors, you won't be able to be successful in an economic slowdown.
Hey, Strategy Simplified. It's Japheth here, your producer, and I really quickly wanted to pop in to tell you about Black Belt. So if you're targeting a consulting role at a firm like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Deloitte, Oliver Wyman, Accenture, you name it, Black Belt is a structured case prep program that might be exactly what you need to push you over the hump and land that offer. So it is a structured case coaching program where you'll get one-on-one coaching from a former McKinsey, Bain, or BCG consultant. You'll also get a year of free access to our new community for exclusive employer info sessions, training, master classes, community support, and much more. Last but not least, you get unlimited digital materials to support your case prep progress. Oh, and by the way, over 80% of Black Belts who complete the program land a consulting role. That's pretty incredible. So we'd love to see you inside of Black Belt. Join at the link in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Number 2, Work experience is work experience. It's important that you become a little less choosy in an environment where you're in an economic slowdown. There's one thing nobody wants to see on your resume, and that's a huge honking gap. I'm not talking about a fun gap where you go traveling for a few years or where you try to build a startup. I'm talking about a gap where you're looking for a job that needs to be just a little bit too perfect and you're building no skills in the meantime. Firms want to see that you're working, that you're active, that you're growing, that you're being trained, that you're trying new things. And so being flexible about the firm type that you're looking at, about the location, about the industry, about the skills that you'll be building, even about the level that you'll join. All of those go up for grabs in times of an economic slowdown. And we think that work experience is better than not. So make sure that you stay actively engaged in the labor market and change your expectations to ones that might be different than you thought, but still valid for your continued career growth. Number 3, fortify your resume. At Bain, we had a saying, 0 defect. Well, 0 defect becomes not guidance, but a rule. In the times of economic slowdown, you cannot afford to make one mistake. That doesn't just mean that your resume needs to be awesome in terms of clarity and content and structure and format. It means that you need to tell a story that is so compelling that a firm would want to bring you in. It means that you need to highlight things like skills, Python, or visualization skills for data that you may not have highlighted in other times of experiences. It may mean that you need to bring back an older experience on your resume that has a name brand that you haven't used in recent times. Thinking about your resume from what helps you stand out forward to the reviewer instead of backward from how you want to tell your story is a better way to go about building your resume in times of an economic slowdown. Number 4, in times of economic downturn, recruiting is a marathon, not a sprint. Historically, if firms needed you, they needed you yesterday because they sold a project and they didn't have enough people. Today, they're a little nervous about bringing you on because you represent a salary they're just not sure they're going to be able to cover. And so because of that, you have to not just network once or twice or 3 times in a given month or a given period. You have to network until the job is open to you. You have to stay in touch with people, keeping them posted on what progress you're making in other areas of your work life while you focus on gaining access to opportunities that they will bring to you. And so that marathon is essential as a mindset and it's essential as a process. Last but not least, you need to be 80% ready for interviews when you apply. In normal times, when somebody's juggling 60 interviews, asking for a 4-week delay, no big deal. When you're one of 3 people they're interviewing this whole spring and you ask for a delay, guess what number you just became on their list? Number 3. And so you have to be ready for your interview, eager to get in there and focused on tweaking your performance when you're actually ready for the process. What we see at Management Consulted in the cycles that we've been through is that in times of economic downturn, it's more important to be ready, which means that you often start earlier and concurrently with your networking process instead of doing them in order. Understanding that you'll have to stack experiences like networking and building a resume, maybe gaining more experience and then re-networking and prepping for interviews all at the same time changes the way that you might navigate through this process. And it's important to set expectations appropriately. Times of economic downturn are uncertain. Nobody knows what the future will hold. And in reality, it's always true, but sometimes this time can feel the most rocky. If you want somebody to help you navigate through an already uncertain, challenging landscape, we're the best of the best. We've worked with over 10,000 people to go through the process to help them break into consulting. We've done it in good times and in bad, and we'll help you break in to the best of your ability. We'd be honored to work with you. We've been helping people break into consulting in good times and in bad. We've seen the pandemic, the global financial crisis, and now we can help you. If you want to put your best foot forward, we're here to ensure that you do just that. Our McKinsey, Bain, and BCG coaches are here to help you through the entire process, from networking, through resumes, interviews, and even prepped for success on the job so you can make sure that you can get your offer and keep it. Ultimately, we would love to help you succeed in any economic environment.